and sincere appreciation to the Minister of Presidency, Miri Babalanda, and her team. Yes, I want the technical guy, put it on the screen. It is not there. I wanted to begin by appreciating the Minister in charge of Presidency, Miri Babalanda, and her team. And our team includes Haj Yunus Kakande, who is the Secretary or Permanent Secretary. And he has directors, including Director of Manifesto Implementation Unit, Willis Bashasha and Richard Bakoja. These are great guys for arranging this retreat. I want to emphasize this retreat is very important in many ways. We are going to evaluate the implementation of the manifesto of the party 2021-2026. It also includes what we call presidential strategic guidelines and directives. The timing of this retreat is really very important. The timing is very important precisely because it is 1 year, less than 1 year before NRM's term of mandate ends. And next year is a year of reckoning for some of you who have gone through election process. This is the time where every dust is thrown up, tension and anxiety. And you really need leaders that are knowledgeable, leaders that have courage, leaders that can rise to the situation generated by the tension of an election year. And that's why, if I can be focused, why you are being here is so important, and I'm therefore, at this juncture, I want to warmly welcome you, very warmly. Yes, and to thank you. I'm really serious. I want to welcome you and to thank you. For those of you who have set aside everything you would have been doing and coming to this retreat, as far as I'm concerned, to me, this one is an indication of it is a testimony of your commitment and love for your country. And I was very pleased to listen in this morning. I can share with you the last question one of you asked was to the minister, was how can a whole minister in charge of monitoring come and lament who is supposed to serve? It is a serious matter because I have seen when you have a credibility crisis in leadership so that the audience no longer believes you can do anything, it is a very dangerous situation. So I'm pleased that I came, and in a way I have learned quite a lot. I will be speaking about the role of local government in manifesto implementation. I have added in your timetable, it would have been the role of local governments in manifesto implementation, but I have added as a determinant of its success. Just to show you how I strongly believe in your capacity. I look at you as the foot soldiers. You are the foot soldiers. You are the people. Local governments You are taking services closer to the people. The electorate that we are talking about is grassroots, and that's why your being here is very critical in implementation of the manifesto. For some of us who have been involved in the process of this, it is so crucial that when you have chairpersons of NRM as a party, and when you have resident commissioners, RDCs in charge of security for the district, you really have, if it fails here, then it can't go anywhere. And I want to share with you because I was the chairperson of the NRM Manifesto Drafting Committee, and I had a lot of people, very eminent people. We went through a very rigorous exercise. We listened to very many people and viewpoints, and we realized that for Uganda to, what has happened now? Power has gone. So what happens? Eh? Put a second slide. Yes. I'm giving you this background to show you that as far as we are concerned, the manifesto was prepared under the direct guidance of the President, and it represents our best assessment of what you would call blueprint of policies and programs we really think can deliver this country to its vision. So I begin with the context of the discussion today. You see, I see people here. I see people I have worked with. I see people I have been in parliament with. I see very serious people. For us to understand the importance and role you're going to be playing, you need to know the context of our country. What I have put there is Berlin Conference. Berlin Conference is a very famous conference. It was held, summoned by the German Chancellor Bismarck, and he called all the imperial powers into Berlin in a conference. And in the conference, they were preventing what was called the scramble for Africa, and they wanted to partition it peacefully without a fight. So they sat on the table, and they drew boundaries. This has a very important implications in our work, to know how we became Uganda. This conference, Berlin Conference, you need to know that Uganda as a country, and the boundary of our country, is a colonial legacy. No, 1884. 18. It should be 18. 18. Thank you so much. It is 1884 to 1885. 1884, 1885. Correct that one. I want to relate this petition that Uganda, as you see it right now, its boundary, not to mention Africa is one of the most fragmented continent with 55 member states, all sovereign, but carved out as a result of that conference. You have Uganda. You will see why NRM has core principles, the logic behind it. 18, 84, 85, the boundaries of most African countries were drawn in Berlin. 55 member countries. In the case of Uganda, you have almost 56 ethnic groups or communities grouped together. And if you have a copy of the Constitution and you look at the Schedule 6 of the Constitution, you'll find 65 indigenous communities constituting the country Uganda. Consequently, when you talk about the underlying logic behind NRM in core principles, it is precisely because to have 65 ethnic communities or 56 ethnic groups put together to form a country, for that country to survive, you really have to believe in the following. Number one, you have to believe in patriotism as a core value. Or else, how will these ethnic groups be melted into one nation if they didn't believe in the love for their country? How would they ever think of a country if their ethnic loyalties is superior? So when NRM comes to say patriotism as a core value, is simply saying to you, as a result of colonial history that put us together, for better or for worse, we must be together. Patriotism becomes a core value. But equally important is Pan-Africanism. You know, well, for Uganda, if I was to mention some of these, if I was to take a roll call, who in this audience belongs to Vonoma ethnic group? Vonoma. How about Reli? How about Ik? Yeah? Is there any Ik? Do we have any Ik in the audience? How about Kuku? Kebu? Kebu? Kawisi? In other words, I'm telling you, what I'm really telling you, the colonialists brought all these small groups, added them to the Soga, the Baganda, the Wachiga, and we became one country. If we are going to become one country in that mix, frankly speaking, patriotism is not a choice in our case. It is simply a matter of survival as a country. That's the point I want to drive home as we discuss implementation of the manifesto. Similarly, Pan-Africanism. I can relate to you. Right now, as I'm talking to you, the Banyamulenge are fighting Congo. Where do they belong? Yes, Banyamulenge ethnically relate to Rwanda, but they have a group in Congo. More dramatically in our history, we had Moda Wori was the Vice President of the Republic of Kenya. Agura Wori was a minister in Uganda government. How will these people separated by an irrational boundary, ever remain one people if we don't go Pan-Africanism and regional integration. I'm talking to very serious people. This debate of redrawing African boundaries was raised at African Unity debate, and it caused more difficulty than it was solving, and the resolution was we leave them as they are. Because if, for instance, Uganda wanted to get all the Tesos in Kenya, and Kenya wanted to get the Tesos in Uganda, where would you end? You have a ping pong. So the only solution is if we promote Pan-Africanism as, again, not a matter of choice. If we promote regional integration as, again, not a matter of choice, but a matter of survival. And it becomes a NRM core principle. I will jump to democracy because democracy, we all know, that's a government where people are represented. They give their consent to be governed through an electoral process. Uganda has been doing it. Since 1986, we have had 6 successive elections. Our democracy is deepening and is broadening. For purposes of today's discussion, the most important core value is socio-economic transformation, and that's where I'm going to base the rest of the discussion. We begin with a vision. A country must have a vision. It is written in the Bible, country without vision will perish. The vision of Uganda, Vision 2040, focuses at transforming the country and society from being peasant to modern and prosperous state. Friends, we talk about Musevenomics. Yes, we talk about Musevenomics, meaning if you understand the stages through Uganda's economy is going through to achieve the target, the vision, then understanding how all this has been shaped by the ideas generated by Yoweri Museveni, consequently, it is becoming ideological. An economy moves. That's transformation. It is a movement. It is a structural movement. Transformation is an economic word, but it is also in mathematics, it is in biology, because you have examples they use is a butterfly. It goes through stages before it becomes a butterfly. Similarly, the economy also goes through stages before it can be transformed. So movement involves labor must move, resources must move from low to high level economic activities. In our case, we must move from peasant agriculture of hand-hoe and rain-fed. I was listening this morning. We must now move to skill-intensive activities, manufacturing industry. Within agriculture, it means moving from subsistence farming. You're going to hear a lot about parish development model and moving from subsistence to money economy. That's what transformation means. Socio-economic transformation. Socio-economic transformation. To transform this involves structural change. Subsistence economy must change to commercial. Hand-hoe must move to mechanized agriculture. Rain-fed must be replaced by irrigation. These traditional crops, we must now do research to have high-value crops. And the whole movement of agro-processing and value addition must be the trend. That's transformation. Let me emphasize, it is widely accepted that poverty reduction And economic growth cannot be sustained without economic transformation. You must transform. And I should mention that I want you to, because today when I was listening to you, there was something like a despondency. You don't need to be despondent. I want you to come out of this retreat with your heads high, because what we set out to do is happening. The country is transforming. There should be no doubting. Anybody should doubt that the economy is transforming, and it is transforming according to plan, according to vision. This is the beauty. Even here, this morning I heard it, one of the presentation, guy who has been coming to KYANKWANZI very often. Transformation is evident even here at KYANKWANZI for some of you who have been coming here. I have been one of them. You put water in a basin, and the water just goes above your back, and you are struggling. Today, you have a flushing toilet. You know, sitting on a pit latrine is sometimes very difficult. We were sitting on pit latrine, tough. Now, look at the audience, at the pavilion. Evidence of transformation, even here. Now, when I go back to 1986, Uganda, under NRM leadership, has registered very significant achievements towards realizing the national vision, and the country is transforming. I just single out a few because I can't finish them. We begin with a very fundamental cornerstone that separates NRM from the rest. I have served in different regimes, but the hallmark of NRM administration is sustainable peace, security, and stability. I'm talking to RDCs who are chairmen of security. Peace and security is a precondition for everything. Everything. I can be personal. From 1966, 1971, 1979, 1985, what runs through that makes start in our development process is lack of peace, security, and stability. So you must tell everybody, since NRM took administration of this country, we have experienced. You know, I know sometimes it is a criticism, but take it from me, it is an advantage. I said, government has been here for 40 years. Yeah, Museveni has been president for 40 years. It has been, even, let me tell you, to govern Uganda, even if you sat there, the capacity, we call it staying capacity, even if you sat in the presidency and did nothing, but you remained there for 40 years. Now, when you sustain a country for 40 years, it is a plus. Yes. It is a plus. Let me tell you. I was minister in Professor Lule's government, and I was the last group to be appointed. 2 days after my appointment, the government, Lule was thrown out, and I was thrown out as well. And the soldiers came looking for Lule's ministers. I was there only for 2 days. The fellows are looking for me. What had I done? Just show you how bad. And every time you have violent change, take it from me. Every time you have violent change, a set of Ugandans become refugees. A set of refugees, destruction. So, that's why we say the hallmark of NRM administration in our history has been peace, security, and stability, and the rule of law. And if anyone tells you, what have you done for all these 40 years? Tell him, we have had a peaceful administration. And there are guys who are even very cynical. Can we eat peace? Sure. Can you eat violence? Violence is terrible. Second, the economy has expanded. The economy has expanded, and we have been growing reasonably at 6% per annum. Incidentally, for you who keep track of global trends, a country to grow positively, some countries grow negatively, a country to grow positively, 6%. In 1981, 82, yeah, no, I can say 1984, 85, the size of our economy was about $5 billion US dollars. Today we are talking about 222 billion US dollars. No, 59 point something billion US dollars. And it is projected to grow to 500 billion by 2040, with a tenfold economic growth rate projected as soon as oil and gas begin to flow. What am I really saying? I'm saying to you, tell everybody who is willing to listen that under NRM administration, the size of our economy has expanded, the growth rate has been positive, and it is projected to double when oil and gas flow, and it is going to flow projected for 2026. I think if you people have listened to our president several times, he talks about an enclave economy at the dawn. When Uganda got independence, our economy had moved. We had an enclave economy. You have an economy which is predominantly subsistence with an island of coffee, cotton, copper, bringing in cash, tobacco, tourism, and tea, the rest, and he calls it an enclave economy. And if you look at our total exports, and you look at the export basket, and you see what is there would be copper, cotton, and coffee, tea, and tobacco. Tourism, of course, would come as a result of people visiting us. Today, if you open the Uganda's export basket, high, so many products today. And sometimes it is better to quote others. Harvard Economic Growth Group recently revealed that Uganda is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, and it is becoming more complex in its products. More complex means we have many products that we're exporting than we have ever done. So if anyone wants to tell you, what have you done? You can tell him the size of the economy, the total exports are increasing, and no doubting, go anywhere. If you are going to east or north or south, the number of factories being constructed is incredible. Total paved roads. I mentioned this. You can now move from Nimule to Kisoro on a paved road. This is very significant. Access to electricity. So not only access now, we have more power as a result of construction of more hydropower generation stations. Simba, Karuma, and other small ones. Now, in education, I'm pleased the permanent secretary is here. Yes, I'm sure, Kedris, you will be adding, but let me mention the following as a product of education system. You have two challenges in education. You have challenge of access to access educational facilities, then you have challenge of quality of when you go to the school. At least where there would be no debate, access to education has substantially increased. And I can use my own example. I used to work 10 kilometers, one way to school, to primary school. But today, every parish has a government-aided school. So the question of access, really, nobody can debate it. We can debate quality because quality is a continuous process. Quality, there is no time when you say, I have achieved quality, I can fold, because quality is continuous as new innovations come. But at least for access, we can thumb our chest. We have done it. Universal primary education, universal secondary education, university education. In fact, we have become victims of our success. Yes, I will show you when it comes to employment. We have educated so many, now we have a problem of absorbing them. Look, ultimately, what is the measure? What is the measure of the quality of development other than the life expectancy of Ugandans? The sum total of all these is that Ugandans are living longer. NRM hoye! Yeah. It is true. Today, the life expectancy, just pick this last census. Our women now have hit the Christian minimum. Our women live longer, 70.1 years life expectancy of a woman. And in the Bible, they say you live 70. The ladies have got it. Yes. For the men, we are struggling, 68.2 years. Yeah, we are buying the women. But the point I'm mentioning to you is when life expectancy of a country significantly increases, it means their health, their education, their well-being has improved. Consequently, they can live longer than they used to be because the conditions were very harsh. Well done. So tell everybody, why would you be shy? Because I know you are going to be challenged. If anybody challenges you, tell the fellow, you used to die younger, now you're old. You know, there is a contradiction sometimes. Sometimes the guy says, Museveni is old, he should go home. By the way, they also say the same when I stand up, they say, Kamundi is old, we should go home. I said, you people, you don't know. Longevity is very good. If any one of you guys have a Bible, just read Job, read the book of Job, chapter 12, verse 12. You'll see how good it is to be old. And the Bible is very clear. I know, Kedris, you are always more religious. But to die young shows a terrible thing. Consequently, longevity is an indication of development, is an indication of transformation. Now, coming to the manifesto, I know Makoja and his group, they will be telling you, we recently carried out an evaluation. And the evaluation was that we had commitments in the manifesto. This manifesto has a number of commitments that we pledged we would do when elected. The last evaluation was 809 NRM commitments. Out of these, 283 of them had already been done in 4 years. 49%, that is 395, they had started being implemented. The only things which had not started is 95 of them. And I have no doubt by end of 2025, 26, this will have been done. Now, if you are an RDC, really, and you're addressing an audience, this manifesto is a social contract between the ruling party and those who elected them. To tell people that 809 of the commitments that promised. Only 6 is remaining to be done, and we have not reached 2026. How can anybody doubt when you ask, we want our mandate to be renewed? Yes. Let anybody who has that record show it. That's the point. Anybody who can show that he has a record, no, you can tell them, we have a performance record which is unmatched by anybody. I will share with you, if you permit me, the challenges that we have. And the challenges that we have, which, it hasn't come? No. Yeah. I want now, while I am very confident I can answer any critic, I'm also humble enough to admit the challenges that we face. And the challenges that we face, which we are facing, the first one is we have done very well in transforming from subsistence to cash. Because previously 68.9% of Ugandans' households were in subsistence. As I'm talking to you right now, only a third, that is 33.1%, are remaining in subsistence economy. But still, 1/3 is a lot of people. That's the challenge you have. You still have 1/3 of your households still in subsistence economy, meaning they, to use Museveni's words, they work for their stomach, they are not yet in the cash economy. And you don't need to be an economist to know, once you have a big section of your people in subsistence economy, by being in subsistence, they don't pay tax. So you cannot even have revenue to undertake all these public works. And they also become a burden to those who pay tax. You need to shift this as a critical element. And if the country wants to be a middle income, you can never be a middle income if your households have no income. Consequently, RDCs, Chairman LC5, you must find a market for it. And the market for it, you must get money. The golden rule is the money you get, you must live within 40% of what you earn, the rest you must save. That's how you get out of vicious circle of poverty. Only then is this going to happen. Consequently, this parish development model is simply meant that people must produce something, take it to the market, and when you have got money, don't spend the whole of it. Save some and spend some. And the local governments, let me repeat it, because local governments, in fact, every politics is local. And where do people live? Where is the grassroots? Who is in direct contact with them? You are. Now, I'm going to talk about, in designing the parish development model, what we had in mind was an institution or a strategy that can enable massive people to participate in their own development. In fact, it is a fundamental shift. You shift Ministry of Finance from Kampala, you put it at the parish. Yes. Let's look at special group. Some has dropped. I want to speak about specific goal of parish development model. And I also want to mention parish development model as an institution. Institutions matter. Institutions do matter. Because you want an institution, we have research evidence. In fact, countries which fail and others which succeed, the fundamental difference is in building institutions that can allow the participation of the citizens in the development process of their own country. If you look at parish development model as an institution, as a strategy, it goes all the way to a parish, and the parish is the last mile administrative unit in our structures. So the whole budget process must now move from Kampala to parish. The planning purposes, the enterprise selection, the cooperative enterprises, the financial services, all these must be done at the parish. And you provide the parish 100 million shillings per annum, 100 million per annum. For 5 years, that is 500 million. Time is running. Thank you very much. Time. I want to conclude now, but let me just mention a specific goal. The specific, let me just mention, the parish, you have 1 million, that's the amount, payment period 1 year, interest rate 6%. And you keep this money at the parish forever. It will never be retrieved. If you see it, this is how the whole paradigm shift in planning and finance has moved from Kampala to parish. The specific goal, again, is to shift the one-third of our population which is still in subsistence, we move it from subsistence to money economy. Now, I'm saying it is specific because for a country to be a middle-income country, the amount of money that each household should have in equivalent shillings should have 20 million shillings. You should earn it in a year. I'm rushed because of time, but I was just going to show you there are no vagueness. For you to know that you are moved from subsistence to money economy, each of your household must be earning 20 million shillings per annum. For you to do that, you also need to keep record. This is a goal which is specific. This is a goal which is achievable. And what has happened to... Thank you very much, but I had... What has happened? You took it, you removed it. Now, I know Kedris wants to address you. So in conclusion, I have the following message. If you have a party which is performing, if you have a party that has braved the storms of this country, and the country is performing, and you are the RDC, and you are chairman of this party, Uganda is like a plane taking off. When a plane is taking off, hold it. The pilot will tell you, fasten your belt. I know you have traveled. Fasten your belt, switch off the telephone, the plane is taking off. When it is taking off, as Uganda's economy is taking off, just as you don't change the pilot when the plane is taking off, you don't change the pilot when an economy is taking off. Topa Kumain, that's the message. Thank you very much indeed.
It's an inspiration.
It seems you have not heard. Somebody told me that some people are snoring. Can we appreciate him? Has he just come or he has been here? He has been around. Honorable Kamuntu, thank you so much. Really, my only worry, I saw some people are dozing. They were singing, eh? Okay. As one of you, I want to commit myself anytime before we finish here to supplement on the question of Kabiruka. Are we lamenting? Yes, that question is very, very, very important. Because it has told me that you have not read the Constitution, you have not read the Local Government Act on your roles. You see the problem, some of you, have you ever moved in a taxi? When you move in a taxi, a seat is supposed to be for 3 people, not so. But at times you find how many? 5. Now this last person is seated on something, the Waganda call it Kameme. Now some of you, you think you're in those districts illegally. Yes. I was lucky I was a deputy RDC like you. Some chairmen I have worked with, they are here. Witnesses are there. Once I'm in that district on behalf of the president, I sit in my chair. Fully. Whoever is doubting, I tell him, go and look for him. Because you are there on his behalf. But now people have come to you, now you say, you know, I don't know. Anyway, in our time, I'm going to help you to unlock that question. 2, Honorable Minister has mentioned about economic transformation, and I want to appeal to you. This knowledge you are getting here, you cannot get it in any university. Because these are presenters from different backgrounds. So you will never have a school or a class with all this combination.
So when I find some people standing outside or seated, I feel hurt. Knowledge is accumulation of many, many items. Acquire as much knowledge as you can. Most of the questions, that's why some of you are shy to go to radio and the TV. Because Professor Kamuntu, when he was mentioning about it, how can somebody ask me the role of local government in my first implementation? Or what have you done as NRM? I will speak until you switch off your TV. Yes. I don't need to go anywhere. You are seated in this room. The people who started here can tell you, they started this building where you are sleeping. You would go and look for grass and you build your own in Andachi. And now you are here. How do they call this in English? You know my English is also auditorium. Now that I have learned that also, it's a knowledge accumulated. So, the achievements of NRM are so many, but they require you to be knowledgeable, to be firm, assertive, articulate, and focused. Are we together? Now, I want to request you, we agree with me, I'm not a Democrat. Me, I don't like democracy. I like guided democracy. So I want to request you, you allow us to first have the PS Minister of Education, so that we answer questions at the same time. Asante sana? Okay. Thank you so much. So we are going to have Madam Kedres, who is our PS Ministry of Education. And what? Education, sports. Thank you so much. You're most welcome.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. Where's my sister who was waking us up? Does she have an assistant? Yeah, please come. Come and make us dance a little bit. Come. Okay. She's coming. Okay, you start.
What about you?
Sisi watani jeshi hatutasonga vitani, hata wewe ni jeshi hatutasonga vitani, Epita ni jeshi hatutasonga vitani, mama ni jeshi hatutasonga vitani, sisi watani jeshi hatutasonga vitani, askari ye vitani ye askari ye mama askari ye vitani ye mama watu serezi mata kaa chini.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Kedres Triagenda, and I had people saying teacher, which I am. Any person whom I taught in the schools where I went, in the colleges, all over the country. Just put your hand up if you are in a school where I taught, or in a school where I worked, or in a college. Thank you so much. By training, I'm a high school teacher of chemistry and maths. But I've gone through all the ranks of the Ministry of Education and Sports. I was a founder head teacher of a high school. I was a teacher trainer in the National Teachers College, Kabare, teaching teachers to go and teach chemistry for 17 years. Then I became a commissioner in charge of secondary education standards for 13 years. And then I became a director for the Directorate of Education Standards for 5 years. Now I'm 6 months as a permanent secretary, Ministry of Education and Sports. I know that we are tired and it's late, so I'll try to be as brief as I can as I share on what we have achieved. But before that, allow me to bring you greetings from the First Lady, who is our Minister of Education and Sports. Thank you very much, together with the entire education sector. It's a great joy for us to be here today to share with you something that concerns you, because it's because of education that you are here. You would not be where you are if the Ministry of Education and Sports didn't exist, would you? No. And I know that every family in Uganda is a stakeholder in education. You either have children or nieces or nephews or grandchildren or people you support, but I know that you are all part of this. So it's a great joy for us to be here. I wanted to give a few quotes, and for some reason when I sat with a friend there, I found he has just bought a book and almost all of them were there. So I'll read what is here instead of what I had wanted to say. This book here, I just opened it by really just checking inside, and I found that most of the quotes I wanted to start with were actually here. So allow me to read them, and then I will move on. This book, I think, is out there on the setting table, and I found this in the preliminary pages, and this is what it says. The first quote is by Nelson Mandela, and he says, "Education is the great engine of personal development. It is through education that the daughter of a peasant can become a doctor, that the son of a mine worker can become the head of the mine, that the child of a farm worker can become the president of a great nation." Agreed? Yes. The second quote, again by Mandela, he says, "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it." He was saying that prepare for the future, we need education. The third quote, again from Nelson Mandela, and he says, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." And the last one here is, "Education is an investment essential for empowering individuals to reach their full potential and to make their own positive impact in the world. And the last one, which is not here, which I want to quote, is that education is the greatest equalizer. Greatest equalizer. You can come from wherever you come from. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter whether you walked 4 miles in the morning on bare feet and back like I did for 7 years. It doesn't matter whether you carried your food in banana leaves for 5 years and got a tiffin at AP6. It doesn't matter. Education is the best equalizer. And so as we share with you some of the achievements under that a milestone, I pray that we share them together. As local governments, and I'm sure many people have said this, in that centralized government which the Uganda runs, all the services happen in the local governments. There are only 3 key roles that remained for the center when Uganda took up decentralization. The first one is policy making. So the role of policies that translate into laws is the responsibility of the central government. The second role is monitoring. When these policies are made and sent, are they actually being implemented? The third key role is standard setting and quality assurance. Standard setting and quality assurance, because we extract from the laws and the policies, we get guidelines and we get standards so that what we thought should work will eventually work. But all this is done at the local government. That is why local governments are very, very, very important, as Professor was saying, in the geography and the mathematics of Uganda, local governments. So you should consider yourself one of the most critical person in this country, because you are where services are delivered. And you can make them be delivered well, or you can forget about them and lose out. So, we are going to share very briefly, as I said, because of time. Just a minute. Yes. So education comes in to help in the realizing of the vision that our professor talked about. I hope that you all know this vision off your heads. As chairman of local governments, as a deputy RDCs. Because if you don't know the vision, then you can't help others to know it. And if a vision is not known, that vision can never be achieved. And because I'm a teacher, I will now ask you what you learned in the first lesson from Professor, and ask you to help me repeat the National Vision 2040. Our Vision 2040. What does it say? He brought it up here, I know. Yes.
Our Vision 2040 states that Uganda should transform from a peasant society to a middle-income class by 2040.
Thank you, he's done well. Let's clap for him. Anyone else? There are some words he didn't say, which I would like someone to add on to. Excellent. Let's clap for her. I still need someone else to add on the third one. A third one, yes, sir. Great. Let's also appreciate him. How many of you have smartphones which have a bit of data on them? Smartphones with data. If you have them, please put your hand up if you have it. Great. I want to give you an open exam. Go to Google now, because me, I'm a teacher. Go to Google now, and look for Uganda Vision 2040. Put it in that Google thing. Uganda Vision 2040. Anyone who has got it? I want us to know it as it is, so that we go back to our districts knowing it, and help our districts to know it, help our schools to know it. Uganda Vision 2040, just put it in the Google, and then you will see. Anyone who has gotten there? Who is there? Who has gotten there? Just put up your hand and stand up and read. Network issue. Anyone who has got it? Yes, I think he has. Please stand and read it for us. The short version. There is the bigger one with the explanation, but there is the shorter version, which starts with a transformed country. Have you got it? Anyone who has got it yet? God, have you got it? Yes, he has got it. Thank you.
The vision, Uganda's Vision 2040, aims at transforming Uganda from a predominantly peasant and low-income country to a competitive upper middle-income.
There is another statement. Yes, there's someone here. That one is just describing how we shall get what we want. Yes, she's going to read the shorter version.
It says, Uganda Vision 2040 aims to transform the country from a peasant, low-income nation to a competitive upper middle.
That one is the same. Yes, he has it. Please read it for us.
It says,
a transformed society from a peasant to modern and prosperous country within 30 years.
Okay, you are going to keep standing because we are going to read it after you. It was 30 years, 15 years ago. You know, we have started NDP 4. We've done 3 years of 5-5. So already on that vision, we have covered 15 years. So I would like him to read it for us. Slowly we follow him. Transformed.
A transformed Ugandan society.
Let's go all together. 1, 2, 3, we go.
Transformed Ugandan society.
Mm-hmm.
From a peasant. To a modern. And a prosperous. Country. Within 30 years.
Okay. Thank you. Keep standing. The 30 years are ending in 2040. Okay? Yes. So we are going to say, instead of 30 years, we are going to say by 2040. Start again.
A transformed Ugandan society. From a peasant. To a modern. And prosperous country. By 2040.
Excellent. We are now going to say it together with him and us. 1, 2, 3, we go. A transformed Ugandan society from a peasant to a modern and prosperous country by 2040. Again, we are going to do it twice and then we'll be done. 1, 2, 3, we go.
A transformed Ugandan society from a peasant to a modern and a prosperous country.
One more.
A transformed Ugandan society from a peasant to a modern, prosperous country.
Thank you very much. Please sit down. So, my dear friends, I'm imagining that we are all Ugandans. Anyone from Congo? Southern Sudan? Kenya? They are part of East Africa, but it's okay. Anyone from there? That one. So, if we are all Ugandans, it means this is our vision jointly. So, we need to know it. Because you are key leaders where you are. You need to know it so that it informs your programs and plans. It informs why you go to work. Because we all wake up and we go to work to contribute towards realization of that vision. Realization of transformation from a peasant to a modern and prosperous Uganda. We wake up saying, I was born and brought up in a peasant Uganda. I'm now an adult. I don't want my children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren to also grow up in a peasant Uganda. I want to join everybody else to have a transformation. And I know that all of you did O-level, that's why you are here. And so you all did some basic science. You didn't have to do chemistry at university like me, no. But you know how a butterfly comes into being. Some did. Excellent. So, but it's not a big issue what you did later. But what I know that at basic level, primary and O-level, we all did that basic science. We know how a butterfly comes into place. How does it come into place? How does it start? With eggs. Just little eggs somewhere in the bush, isn't it? Then it translates into what? A caterpillar, which is terrible. You look at it and you don't want to look at it. It's very scary, especially girls, they fear it. And then that goes into a pupa. And the pupa is hidden there. It's at school, it's learning. And from that, what do you find? Beautiful, beautiful butterfly. Flying, not crawling here, not hidden, but, and once we have a butterfly, it can never reconvert into a pupa or a larva. That is transformation. That is transformation. So if you and I want to have a legacy where we are saying, when we were adults above 18, we contributed towards the transformation of Uganda. You have to do something. And one of the things you have to do is to support the quality education that our professor was talking about in the area where you find yourself. To ensure that every child born in your locality goes to school, stays in school, acquires appropriate competencies, the right values, the right attitude, and the love for his country. If we can all aim at that, very soon we will have a transformed Uganda. Yes, you can clap.
Asante sana.
Those of you who take interest in reading, you know that by independence, when we got independence, our economy was better than that of Singapore. Professor, I hope I'm not transgressing into your area. But now, Singapore is in what we call the first world in terms of the economy. They didn't have oil. They didn't have green vegetables we have here and fruits that we have. It's an island on an ocean. So they focused on education. They said to themselves, let us maximize what we have. And what do we have? The minds of young people. If we develop them and help this young person to come out with appropriate competence to produce results, and they have the right values, they will be honest, they will be God-fearing, they will be able to love one another and work in teams, and they love their country, although it is a small island, we can move. And they went on that, and now here they are. For us, Uganda, of course, we were spoiled. God loved us so much that we became spoiled. Even when you don't grow food, you eat, because it grows. You just need to pass around Teso and West Nile in the mango season. And you see people pleading with you, please, take mine as well, 2,000. Big bucket, or a big thing with all of them there, right from the tree. Beautiful, nutritious fruits. So, I tell people that I don't believe there is anyone poor in Uganda, because poor people don't have the basics in life. The basics in life is that you have where to sleep. Most Ugandans have their own houses where they sleep, apart from those who have run away to come to the city to suffer. Most Ugandans have what to eat, at least a meal per day. Most Ugandans have clothes to put on. So there's no poor Uganda. These guys have been here telling us poor, poverty, under poverty line. That's a lie. Professor, please don't take me wrong. That's a lie. It's because we have not been taught to convert what we produce into money. Where I come from, they cut a whole bunch of matoke and they cook it at once. Whether it's finished or not finished, but they have cooked it. Imagine if they had that consciousness, which you, the leaders, can start teaching them. If they had that consciousness, that when I get a basket of potatoes in Teso, it's equivalent to 10,000, okay? So if I pick it from the garden and cook it, I should look at myself as having earned 10,000 plus 2 kilos of beans, each at 3,000, which is 6,000, plus the fuel, which is the firewood, which is considered like 2,000. So in a day, for that one meal, I have already earned 20,000, but I spent it on food for my family. If we taught our people like that, nobody will go on the street begging. They would know that they are rich people. They may not be rich, but they will not be poor. So education. Education is for all of us. It's a joint responsibility. It is possible in the current system for all our children to go to school. And friends, children are our future. And our future is our children. Not just those we have produced, but all those in the communities where we find ourselves as leaders. So when this manifesto was brought forth, I would like now the technician to give me something to run through quickly. When it came forth, Ministry of Education and Sports, or under the Education and Sports sector, we had 30 commitments. We had 30 commitments, and these commitments were broken down into the subsections of our education system. So we had commitments under early childhood development. We had commitments, you can go to the next page. We had commitments under primary education, secondary education, TVET, higher education, physical education and sports, and special needs. So under basic, under pre-primary and primary, go the next page kindly. I'm going fast. Yes, so that is how they were divided. The 30 commitments, 1 was under pre-primary and primary, 7 were under primary education, then 6 were under secondary, 9 under TVET, and 3 under higher education, 5 under physical education, and 1 under special needs education. How well have we performed? I will just make a summary because the time has run out. Just continue there because those are already summarized. They were the ones which were summarized on the second page. Just move on to, So how have we progressed in implementing these commitments? Under pre-primary education, our commitment was to improve early childhood development through institutionalizing training for ECD caregivers at public PTCs and to enforce regulatory and quality assurance systems at ECD. The two areas there, I'm told that we have this document and I'm hoping that members will get a copy. Yes, so I will not take a lot of time reading everything, but what I would like to say is that the 23 core PTCs have been running the pre-primary education teacher training, and there has also now been an opportunity for ECD teachers to train and get diplomas in those figures which are shown there, and to date, 1,288 have already now been admitted to do diploma at ECD. The rest you will see later on, and we have now a few more people who are taking interest, some with even much higher education as far as PhD level of training. Under primary education, as I said before, we had a number of commitments under primary education. And the commitments that we had are that we should, one, ensure that children complete at least 11 years of education. This is really basic education, not just primary. Basic education is up to the age of 16, which is the end of O-level. So the commitment was that we would make sure that all children are able to do 7 years of primary and at least 4 years of O-level. And this is the reason why UPE and USE has been emphasized. That is why the president had committed to ensure that every parish had a public primary school, and every sub-county at least has a secondary school. This is what we've been trying to achieve under that commitment in basic education. We had also committed, of course, a lot of things have been done with both textbooks and so on under basic education. The second one was to make sure that, these children stay in school. And part of the reason why children leave school is young girls being married off, and when they get pregnant, not coming back to school. So that campaign, the picture you saw, the minister and other people were pleading with us, all adults, to make sure that children are kept safe in the communities, but they are also kept in school. And that campaign went on, I think it was 2019, and we hope that you have joined in where you find yourself in the hour that you get as RDCs. I'm hoping that you have been trying to help. And to ensure that all children get opportunity, we also support special needs education. So we provide Braille for schools which are children who have reading impairment, and UNEB also joins us to assess them. I hope you have seen the results of UNEB. So all kinds of special needs areas are now trying to be helped to continue and not drop out of school. The Ministry of Local Government told us that we have 68 villages in Uganda, and in this manifesto, these villages were expected to pass a resolution to make sure that children complete basic education. So I want to encourage you as chairman and the RDC home, because you are several of you there, to see that some of these things are done. They don't need money. It's a matter of ensuring that through the LC system, these meetings are organized, and then people now debate, but they need a facilitator to help them appreciate the importance of education, the importance of safety of children. And once that is done, and all the 68,000 villages have sat and said to themselves, our children are here, they shouldn't be hungry at school, they will decide that when we harvest maize, we will take 10 kilos at school and 3 kilos of beans. We shall bring firewood and have our children eat lunch. So these meetings are very, very important. We have not done well there through the local governments, but we can still continue because we are still producing children. Another area that we had was the quality of education to continue improving. Government has been putting a bit more money into it. Go to slide 17. Yes, so since the beginning of this manifesto period, 37.5 billion has been given towards inspection and monitoring of schools. And this is in addition to what is given for DOs to monitor, but in addition also to the capitation grant that government gives to each of the children. By the beginning of the manifesto period, the capitation grant was low. It was at about 13, but now it's at 20,000 per child. We know it is not enough, but as we get more money, we are committed to increasing that capitation grant. But even when it comes, it's our role as leaders at the local government to ensure that the basics needed at school to enable a child learn are provided. Our greatest expense at the lowest at the primary level is the payment of salaries. As I speak now, we pay salaries for about 130,000 teachers in primary schools. That's not little money. I know what they take home is not too much. It's less than 500, but when you multiply, it's billions of money per month. So as leaders, my appeal to you is that you make sure that these teachers are at school and children are learning. That the teachers are at school and children are learning. Instructional material, we had committed to provide to have at least 5 children sharing a book. At some point, we had gone to something less than that ratio. Some of the books are already old, but we are committed to continue increasing the books. Now we go to secondary level. Secondary level is on page 20, on slide 20. The commitments at secondary level were that we will construct schools in sub-counties that did not have any schools at all. From the beginning of the manifesto to this time today, a total of 258 new secondary schools have been constructed in sub-counties that did not have any secondary school. And about another 100 will soon commence in another project which is called USEP. I'm sure that some of you come from districts where these schools are going to be built. This project delayed a bit because government didn't have land. The land that government used to have was taken up by the citizens and they owned them. Now when government wants to build a school and they come to the local government can't find land. So eventually the faith-based teams gave land, but it was a back and forth. It has delayed the project, but it will start soon. So once it starts, then we would have had another about 100 new secondary schools being built in our local governments. I think we can just have an example of some of these schools on page 22. Can you see? Yes, this is one of the schools that was built in Jinja. It is called Bwenge Seed School. Then we had another one in Dokolo, Bata Seed School. Then we had another one in Ajumani, Arinyapi Seed School. Then we had another one in Mubende, Kagando Seed School. We just picked a few, but they all have, the ones I talked about are all there. We had in Twetwe Secondary School in KYANKWANZI here where we are. They also received a seed school. We have Lopei Seed School in Napak. Napak is in Karamoja region. They received a seed school. So we are building seed schools on the commitment of the manifesto, which aims at having at least a secondary school public in each sub-county. The challenge we are facing is that over this period, the local government units have increased, have multiplied. So where we thought in 2016, we did a survey and we had only 360 sub-counties that didn't have secondary schools. Now, ever since, because of new districts, when it becomes a district, more sub-counties, then town councils, and they are counted as sub-county. So the target is elastic. However, the commitment is still on, and government will continue to do what it can to see that access is actually got. Again, for secondary school, we've provided instructional materials. to the tune of 37.8 billion. The details you will see when you get the document. And then rehabilitating historical public schools. We are hoping that before the end of this year, we would have started on the project of rehabilitating the traditional secondary schools, 120 of them. We are working and discussing under a project that is between GPE2 and the World Bank, and we hope that our old traditional schools, which used to have 480 children when I was in school, they now have 2,000 plus. So they are overloaded, the infrastructure is dilapidated, so we are also aiming at trying to revamp them so that where you went to school, when you go back, you can be proud of it. We have also operationalized new government-owned and grant-aided schools. So apart from new schools, also government has taken up schools from the communities, and these are 111 of them, and grant-aided them, given them staff, and where possible, added 1 or 2 pieces of infrastructure. Because of the focus on scientific thinking for development, the sector has also been providing basic, I call them basic equipment for science. So science kits worth 5.4 billion in this manifesto period have been provided. ICT equipment, computers and others worth 17.6 billion, and several other things have been given. Increase of community participation in the affairs of the school in respect to their areas and to report the problems. So one of the conceived idea in the manifesto was that a school, whichever it is part of a community. And in fact, in the basic requirements and minimum standards, it's required that parents and community continually engage with the school. So there was an effort to do that. And the government has been trying to make sure those happen through the school management committees and boards of governors, and encouraging speech days and sports days and science fairs. Please encourage your communities. When the schools invite parents for whichever it is, encourage them to come so that they can appreciate the role of education. So I want to ask you as leaders to help us on that one. We have also rolled out some ICT gadgets that can help us to reduce absenteeism. Professor was talking about the quality of education. When I was still in the directorate, we discovered through inspection that one of the biggest challenges we had was absenteeism of head teachers, teachers, and eventually learners. So children finish 7 years when they have only studied for about 4.5 years because the teacher was not in class, so learning did not happen. So we came up with an IT system. It is called TELA. TELA means Teacher Effectiveness and Learner Achievement. As I talk now, all public schools, all public private schools, public secondary schools, and certificate offering institutions have received a phone through government which has an app where the teachers now sign in on a phone. That's a good one. Because we need you now who are there to ensure that it is utilized. Teachers have been trained what to do. A teacher, one of the teachers who is good at IT has been trained. And if this could work, it would give us a lot of results. Because in this system, the teacher signs in with his eyes, so you cannot send your friend. When we still used books for registration, for attendance, one would call his friend, please sign me in. So they would sign them in. When we were piloting in the 10 districts, we were using the thumb. Then we discovered that one can be adulterated. So no, we're using a number like you use on your bank things. So we gave them unique numbers. They would call their friends, please, this is my number, sign me in. But by the end of the pilot, we discovered we can do better. So now they sign in by their face. Once it looks into them, it knows now this is Kedres. Then he opens. Then he sees his timetable. And then he signs in and goes to class. And the head teacher of that school is supposed to, several times during the day, move around the school and tick off using that phone the teachers who are teaching the lessons they are supposed to teach. So I want to appeal to you to ask all your leaders down the levels. LC5, you have LC3s, you have Muka chiefs there. If you could get them involved, like a Muka chief, I think most of them have one public school in their community. They can go there at least once a week just to do a spot check to see that this system is actually working. Because once it does, then we would have had big benefits. Not only at school level, but also at inspection. We now have inspections by our inspectors. They have a tablet, and you can see them there. They use a tablet. It captures the GPS of the school. They take pictures as evidence that they've been there. The phone records how long you have spent. So these desk reports which they used to send now have ceased. And as soon as he finishes and clicks in, it comes here to the directorate at the center. Then we know that so-and-so has been for inspection. So please help us to make that work. Now let's move on from secondary to TVET. The rest you will read them in the document when you get it, either by e-system or when they print it out. But we have under UGIFT built 1,572 teachers' houses. Again, we know that that's one of the big challenges we have, but we are progressively doing that. Examples of the schools which have received administration blocks on slide 39. We have a school at John Elulu Memorial Secondary School in Amuria. That was the administration block. There's a laboratory at Chikatsi Seed School in Chiruhura, and several other places that benefited from UGIFT. So I think I will stop there with secondary now, maybe to look at how we are promoting e-systems on page 42. The minister launched our digital agenda on page 42. Page 42, you are on 41. So we now have a lot of systems under E. 5 minutes, okay. Yes, so we have done a lot under TVET, and the good news for TVET, the increase of skills, improved skills, modern skills, is that we had a policy that was approved by Cabinet in 2019, and on Saturday last week, we had a commencement of the TVET Act. So now we have an act that gives a new way on how we are going to run our TVET, the technical vocational education training. So you'll be, people will be coming down to the district to sensitize you and to help you know what to do. But now I want to request that you encourage our children to actually go and learn skills. What the world needs is not my paper, but the skills that I can have and use. So let us encourage our children. Let us help the community to know that going to do a skills course is not because you are dull. It's because that is where you can find money, you can employ yourself, and you can find employment. So there are a few examples of the TVET institutions that were built on page 47. Page 47, there are a few documents there. And then we also have on page 49, so that's one of the colleges at UPIC, Chiriandongo, for gas and oil through the efforts of the Ministry of Education. Go to page 51 at UTC Ushenyi. That's a plant maintenance system, so your children can go and really learn. Yes, on page 54, at UTC Chamba, page 54. That is UTC, so that's a welding workshop. So we can have all our doors and windows and beds done by our own students. At Lira, UTC Lira, we can see a very big skills lab at Lira. So on page 58 at Mwembe Muhwana Memorials at Institute level in Mbale, the other ones were colleges. We have another one at Achaba in Oyam district. We have another one at Epel Memorial Technical Institute in Katakwi. So government has done a lot in education in the last years, and we shall continue to do that. Under higher education, we have now about 50 universities, both private and government. We have been having 10 government ones, but we are soon rolling out the Busoga and Bunyoro. Actually, tomorrow, the president will be groundbreaking for Bunyoro University. So as I conclude, I would like to say that government is committed to continue improving our education. But since the services are done in the local government, we need you as the leaders, because the chairman, it's a local government, it's a government, isn't it? Yes, the chairman, you are the presidents of those local governments. So, now that you are presidents there, for that government called a certain local government, please work with the central government to ensure that your community in your time, so that later on your grandchildren will hear people giving testimony. It was in his time, the 5 years or 10, when this thing happened. It is when our education in this village was changed. It is when our roads were improved. Once that is done, then definitely you can be happy in your retirement, and you'll be glad to have that behind you. So I want to thank you once again for this opportunity. The document, the total document is with us on soft copy, and it will be passed on to you. But we treasure you, and we appeal to you to join us. To join us, make sure that all our children go to school, remain in school, and progress. Please appeal to the parents to give their children food. If you wanted to get very serious strokes from my mother, who never went to school, you would leave food at home. If you went to school without food, she would beat you up when you come back. And she would ask you, how do you think you will grow if you don't eat? So, work with all of us to see that education becomes quality, and then we shall all be proud together. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening.
I really now want the competition in command.
Thank you very much.
So that means you are very attentive. How much I have this competition? There is no question going over. What I'm going to be clear, Chairman NRM, very good. Very good. Now, this manifesto is for NRM. The RDC has an obligation to make sure that NRM succeeds. Are we together? Yes, sir. Now, on page 67, okay, you got 69. 69, 1.2. It says, Page 68, 1.2. Page 68, 1.2. Primary education. It says, NRM will ensure that children complete at least 11 years of school from P1 to S4 and acquire the required skills required for the job market. Now, I'm not a good religious person, but I know there are some Christians, there are some Muslims, there are those who believe in us traditionalists. Traditionalists are not paganists. No, they are not. Who can put up his hand, either chairman chairman NRM or RDC, and say that all the children in my district are going to school? Very good. That means you are good religious people. You are honest. Who is from Mutambara? Mutambara? RDC chairman? Mutambara has not come. I don't see their hands. Hey, there's one, at least chairman. Pfizer is there, hard. Why do you sit here? You sit here. Now, why I have invited them, they are witnesses to me. There are certain things which are not written, but which work. I was another DC in their district, and I found people had no food in homes. And I arrested them. No, because you see, there are many ways of skinning a rat. Now, if you are chairman NRM and your RDCs here, you have confirmed that children are not going to school. What are you going to tell the parents now for what? Are we together? The Utambara people, in Utambara, what I called him, there was a good Utambara person who said, okay, since the RDC is arresting people without food, is arresting people who have not chased children to go to school, let me volunteer. He provided lunch to children. Yesterday, a person, I met him.
Anyway, it happened in one of the town councils, Government Council, and this was the son of the man, Alhaji Lansa Rebecca, the proprietor of Cambodia Junior School here in Kampala.
Thank you. Why we called them? There are very many willing people and wishers to those communities where you come from. You can even mobilize them to work outside the government procedure. But what is important, NRM has promised children to remain where? For 11 years. But I can tell you, if Dr. Kebrius had mentioned about the dropout rate, it is worrying. It is worrying. Children are not at school. And these are children of the parents where we are going to ask votes from. Are we together? So, as the president is playing this role, also mobilize communities, those who can support. You can even create your own method of making sure that things are moving on. Questions are only to 2 people because we have other 3 presentations. Only 5 for each. Write your questions. Write your questions. Then two, anybody who misplaced his or her phone during lunchtime, contact me. And you must be able to identify your phone and your number. Write the questions.